Hello and welcome back to another installment to Fodder, where we talk about geolocation and AR style mobile games. If you've been on the Jurassic World Alive forums lately, or maybe even one of the Discords, you'll know there is a hot topic going around being discussed, and that is, are the apex creatures bad for the game? I have to be honest here. Apex Creatures kind of got off to a bad start, and it doesn't necessarily look like it's gotten any better since their July inception. Now, when version 2.0 came out for Jurassic World Alive, we also got new raids. With the new raids came a new rarity of creature, the Apex Creatures, more specifically, Mortem Rex. Now, since this time, we have had 3 additional Apex Creatures released into the game: Ceramagnus, Hadrosaurus Lux, and Gorgo Trebex. And these apex creatures have kind of been cursed from the very beginning. For the first 5 weeks, upon a successful completion of a raid, you were going to get anywhere between 10 and 150 DNA. Well, that's great if you were one of the people who had 100 or 150 DNA. You were halfway or almost halfway to unlocking this level 26 creature. But if you were like me, one of the sad few who only got 10 each time, not only were you significantly far behind, but it was going to take you 30 weeks to unlock this creature. Obviously, this didn't go over real well with the community, and changes were implemented to what we have now, where upon a successful raid boss completion, you will get between 15 and 30 DNA. Now, I don't know the exact math behind it, but if I had to guess, I would say that 22 is probably the average. So now that that problem has been solved, are they bad for the game? Well, we have to kind of break this down a little bit more. When an apex creature is unlocked, it is level 26, and it takes 300 DNA for that initial unlocking. If we are going with the average of about 20 to 22 DNA per successful completion, that means it's going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 weeks to unlock, and once the creature is unlocked, it is better than any of the uniques that are currently in the game. If, for example, we take Mortem Rex, compare it to Thorodolosaur, because they are both pure, fierce creatures, their stats are pretty similar. Mort is a little bit faster, has a little more attack, but they have the same HP. The difference is the moves and the resistances. Mortem Rex has a cleansing move. It also cannot be decelerated, which Thorodolosaur just does not have. So Thorodolosaur is in all likelihood going to get off one attack and then an instant charge for stunned, but it's either going to be slower or it's going to be reduced damage. And that simply isn't the case for Mortem Rex. Because it can cleanse, because it can't be slowed, it can almost one-shot almost any cunning creature in the game. And remember, cunning creatures are supposed to directly counter fierce creatures. If we further move on and compare Hadrosaurus Lux to Gemini Titan, they are both pure resilient creatures. And I put a straw poll out on Discord, and I just said, level 28 boost, who would you rather have, Hadrosaurus Lux or Gemini Titan? Not only did everybody say they would rather have Hadrosaurus Lux in that situation, people even said they would rather have Hadrosaurus Lux in that situation than Gemini Titan at level 30 with 30 boosts. Now the thing is, Gemini Titan is arguably the most difficult creature in the game to create. In fact, mine is only level 27, and I could not level it up to 28 today if I wanted to. By comparison, Hadrosaurus Lux, which has been out for less than a year, I'm probably a couple of weeks away from having it already to level 28 without really even trying. That right there tells me that the apex creatures probably are not well placed or well designed as far as their functionality in this game. Throughout this game, whether it be for rarity of creature or level, i.e. battle arenas, you have what I like to call best in class or gatekeeper creatures. These creatures are creatures that are extremely good for where you currently are in the game and will help you go from one level to the next. But once you start entering into that next level, they start losing their viability because you start going up against other creatures who are more apt to take care of what this particular creature that got you here is able to do. I can remember when I was first starting out in Jurassic World Alive, Aniasuchus was that creature for me. In the low levels, it is a rare creature, but it was extremely good. It was tanky, it had some armor, it had some stunning, and it did a lot of things. It has since gone under some move changes and whatever, but in the early stages of this game, that was the creature that got you to a certain point before you could get to the next point, which was the later arenas. And that still holds true for today. Maybe not for Enia, but there are definitely those creatures that you know are really good at this level, and people complain about how good they are at that level because they don't realize once you get past that level, they're just not as strong as they used to be. That is why they're called Gatekeeper Creatures. And it is because of this that not all creatures of the same rarity are created equal. And I really think that is by design, and it's a good design. For example, if you look at the unique class creatures, you have some that are insanely easy to create. It does not take very long not only to create these creatures, but to level them up. Specifically, Thorodolosaur, Indoraptor, or Erlodom come to mind. The components for these 3 unique creatures are abundant, and these creatures will help you get from one stage of the game to the end game, but they're not meant to be end game creatures. In my opinion, the creatures that should be end game creatures are actually completely irrelevant to the entire meta, and that is where the problem comes in. If we look at creatures like Gemini Titan, Spinacon, or Testacornibus, those creatures are locked behind exclusive DNA. And because they are that much more difficult to create, they should be that much stronger in the game. Unfortunately, if you go look at the highest ranked players in this game, not only are many of them not running all 3 creatures, most of them aren't running one, and if they are, it's probably only Gemini Titan. The rest of these creatures with exclusive DNA are nowhere to be found, and that's honestly kind of a crime. So where does this put the Apex creatures? Well, in my opinion, based on how easy they are to create, they are way overpowered. They really should be a step or a step and a half behind those creatures that are locked behind exclusive DNA. But they shouldn't be so low as to be down with the easiest of the unique creatures to create. So by my ranking, if I were to put them in order, I would have those creatures that really rely on the exclusive DNA. And you know which ones I'm talking about. The ones that you probably don't have leveled up unless you are one of the very high-end game players. Those should be the best creatures in the game. Then those should be followed up next by the Apex creatures, which you should be rewarded for doing raid battles with a nice creature, but you shouldn't be rewarded with one of the best creatures in the game. And then following that, you have the uniques that are easy to create. What this will do is it will reward those who grind out for the better creatures. It'll also reward those who don't have the time to go out, because they still get good creatures, actually great creatures, by participating in co-op battles via raids. And then you have the easier to create creatures to round out a team, so you can have a diverse team that competes better at all levels. And one other thing that I forgot to mention in all of this, as long as you have an alliance or people that you know who play the game that can help carry you through these raid bosses, you only need like a level 6 Hast Eagle Gen 2, or maybe an Irritator somewhere in the teens, maybe 15 or 16, in order to be successful and collect that Apex DNA. And honestly, that's a really small price to pay because those creatures are extremely easy to come by. So to recap my thoughts on this, I think Ludia should go in, and as much as I don't like nerfs, I really think the Apex creatures need to be nerfed, because I really think it should go uniques with exclusive DNA should be the hierarchy of this game. Those should be the end game creatures because they flat out take longer to create. After that, probably half a step above the easy unique creatures, the Thors, the Indoraptors, the Erlodom, should be your Apex creatures, where they're really good, they're really strong. It's something that you don't have to grind and go out for, so you get a little bit of a reward, but you're not handing people the best creatures in the game, followed by the easy to create uniques, and maybe even some of the legendaries mixed in there as well. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think? If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe so you will know when the next video comes out. And remember, we are approaching the 4th anniversary of Jurassic World Alive. Can you believe it? 4 years already. I didn't know if we'd make it here, but here we are. Now, I don't know specifically what they have in mind, but every year they do something good, and I don't anticipate this year being any different. That's all I've got for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time.